you might actually talk about, if you found that that wasn't working for all students, you might talk about reading. And for some kids, they engage in sustained silent reading some of the time. And on other occasions, they do other things to do with reading.
Do they also have a folder of different activities they can do after they've finished reading a particular book?
And how often do they do those? And how do you assess them? Okay, can I just leave those? Because but they are reasonable questions for someone to ask. Because we know all the way through education, particularly when you've been in education as long as I have, we've done things at times. And where I am now, one of the questions I would be asking of anything, and I'm old and crotchety and grumpy, is what's the evidence that's working for the kids? What's the evidence that this is the most efficient thing? Because half an hour out of a day, a 6-hour study day, okay, what's that? That's a 6. That's 16% of the day is going into this. You'd want to be sure it's working. You'd want to be sure that this is the best way of getting gains from that. Is that okay, guys, if I leave that? Sorry, Kate? Oh, no. But you can see, Kate, you can see where I'm coming from, can't you? Yeah. Now, before we have the children begin reading aloud, and you guys can see where I'm coming from with this. Okay. If I were wanting children now in that class in Judy's school, if I wanted students like in 95 or 96, 94, whenever it was, if I wanted them to read aloud, and we were going to read this text that I'm going to pass around in a minute, I've got some copy for everyone, why are deserts dry? Or there's another one from that same, that's, what is it, Humanity's Alive book. Or your economy needs you. If we're going to read that text, before I had anyone read that text aloud, now what I'd be doing would be saying, okay, I don't know your first name, mate.
Eris.
Okay, I'd be saying, of course, sorry, yeah. I'd be saying, Anna and Eris, you guys take the first 2 sentences. Kate and Jane, you two take the next 2 sentences. Margaret and Judy, you two take the next 2 sentences. And you've all got 3 minutes to look through the sentences. Put up your hand if you don't know any of the words. Practice reading them to each other. When it's your turn to read, you can decide how you'll do it. As long as I get a spoken outcome from you guys. I don't care how you decide to do it. That would be the spirit that I'd be doing this now. If any of the kids said to me, I don't want to read today, I'd rather read tomorrow, I'd be rapt. Because I'd say, tonight, can you practice going through these sentences? You see, all I'm wanting is at this point for the students, number 1, to experience success in reading aloud, and 2, to get positive feedback so that they can see that they can do it in some situations. Now, very quickly, if I do something like that, after a week, if I've got my list with all the kids' names here, I'll have comments on how each kid read aloud, or how each pair of children read aloud. So I'll know by the end of a week how each kid went. And if I've got a copy of the text here, and I've marked on it who's reading what, or how this comes with the CD, I can cut and paste this. So I've got the text down one side of the page, and as the kids are reading, I can be making notes on how they go. And so I can very quickly have a record at a sentence level of how the kids are reading aloud in my Year 7, Year 8 class. And so over a week, over 4 or 5 sessions, I can see where we are. And I can see which kids I need to perhaps be monitoring things and changing things for later. But I would certainly have each student not read more than 2 sentences at a time. And because my whole purpose for reading aloud is not some of the other reasons for reading. It's the interactive reading. I'm wanting them then to explore how we acted on it and what they now know. Now, I've then gone through in your notes and mentioned as the children read, there's a whole lot of reading actions I'm going to allow the students to do. I think they're pretty obvious and straightforward. Are they okay when you run your eye? Okay. Then, having read, so I've just had the group. I've had some children read aloud from the text. I'm wanting the students to really see that it worked for them. Because as we've said, reading aloud is going to be scary for some kids. And they will be motivated or they'll feel relieved when it's over. And that's not going to motivate them to want to read again. So I really want to be in a position to give positive feedback to the students so that they can see that the reading aloud worked for them. As well, if we are going to keep reading journals, I would want them to record what actions they used as they read, what worked for them. One of the things I did with the kids at Marlow, the Prep Grade 1 kids at Marlow yesterday, we read a story about, I can't even remember the damn story, but anyway, we read some story. And after we'd read about 4 of the double pages, it was a big book. We'd read 4 of the double pages. And I then said to the students, okay, who can tell me? Oh, it was about a girl climbing a haystack. She lived on a farm, a girl climbing a haystack. And tell me about what happened in the story. And then I said, okay, now just go back to the pictures in your mind. What happened first? What did we see on the cover? Where was the girl? Okay. Where did we go next on the first 2 pages? The next 2 pages? And the children could see the sequence of ideas. They did very well. They remembered very well the sequence of ideas that we'd covered. So helping the children see as they read aloud, helping them make the picture in their mind is going to be important. And I've mentioned other aspects to do with the post-reading. I'm also wanting the students to learn to manage their own reading aloud. And so it is important that I help them learn self-talk that they can use to direct their reading aloud. What are they going to do before they start reading aloud? What's its purpose? Because the purpose is going to determine whether or not you feel free to say that doesn't make sense or to change the speed and so on. If in fact you know something about the topic, you're more able to read aloud than if you don't. If I don't give you time to put together what you know about the topic, you're not going to read aloud as well. Like if I just put under your nose and said, hey guys, read it. Well, you wouldn't know where to start. You very quickly try and get an idea of what the topic was. So in your notes, I've suggested some key self-talk that bit by bit you can have the students learn to use in order that they can manage their reading aloud. Now, that's the end of the reading aloud aspect. That's the first step in working at the sentence level. I would just like to go through the paraphrasing and then go through and we'll practice applying this to 1 or 2 of the texts.
John, what did you mean by physically? What do I do? The second last document. Physically, what do I do when I read?
Will I point? How will I manage? See, some kids like to, I can't do it there. They move the page. You'll find some kids, I don't know how much, I really don't know how valid the coloured lenses are, but I know some kids read better. When we used to have coloured transparencies, overhead projected transparencies, if they put that over the text, it was really physically what actions will they use?